So choosing a personal thing over career doesn't mean that people are less ambitious. The returnship programs is about people who have left the workforce
True.
and wanted to come back. That's a bigger challenge, was a bigger challenge, is a bigger challenge even today. In fact, I am an example. I have left the workforce in 2013. When I planned to have a baby, I wanted to have a peaceful and pleasant pregnancy. I've left the workforce. I was at home.
And in that, at least 50 to 60% of the women said that there's a lot of people who questioned them during this break that why are you on break? 96.5 to 98.5% of women on career breaks, they wish to re-enter the
I would say
workforce.
100% of them want to come back.
Only about 27% of women out of this is able to successfully return after a break. So what are the 3 tips you want to give this 10 women who are getting trained? We are helping them to come back to work. Welcome everyone to the podcast, a series of TeamLease Digital, the Workroom Leaders in Dialogue. The idea here is that we are having multiple themes and to discuss with various leaders. And today's theme is enabling women professionals to return to workforce. Today with us, we have HR leader from Elanco, Suchitra. Welcome, Suchitra. So in this, I think over 30 minutes or so, the whole idea is to talk about what are the challenges. So firstly, what is returnship for women to get back to work? What are the challenges which they face, which at the workplace they might encounter? How should the organization be ready? How should they be ready about? So this is the whole idea about this conversation. And who better than you to give us your thoughts around this, because you have led this in your career. I saw that, even in Elanco, you had driven this for so many years. So we'd like to hear your thoughts about this, that how is that you see this particular program, which is returnship of women who are on career break due to any issues that could be, or rather I wouldn't want to call that as an issue, but due to any circumstance they would have taken a break. So how do you see that?
So my journey with the returnship program started way back in 2017-18 when I was working with, so where I was program managing the returning mothers program. And that's when I got to actually observe how many women are actually going on a career break. I mean, leaving the workforce, being highly talented and skilled to take care of their family. So it can be like newly married women. When they get married, it's actually the woman who leaves her job and then travels to other location. So relocation is one of the primary reasons. Then the biggest leakage was happening on the returning mothers, like after the maternity leave. They can't manage both the kid and the career, and then they start taking a choice of prioritizing their personal needs than their career. And then after some time, again, it's the eldercare, whether it's for her parents or his parents. So it's going to be the woman who has to. And that's because of the societal perceptions as well, that whenever it comes to family, so the man will be the breadwinner and women's income is always to support, but her primary focus should be on the family. So that's where we've seen in different stages, women started taking career breaks or even in fact leave completely the workforce. And when I was in HR role, and I think this was way back in like before 2015, 2010, 11 times, the maternity leave is only 3 months in India.
Right.
That's when when new moms have to leave their kids who are just like 2-3 months old in a daycare and come, and Indian daycare system were not that evolved at that time.
True.
So for abroad, I mean, the Western countries, it's easier because their childcare systems are very, very good. Like you can leave the baby. And if you look into European countries, they have parental leave, which is spread across for almost like 2-3 years between the couple. So now in India, when people used to cry, those women, I used to feel so helpless. Like, why can't we do anything? They were ready to take a sabbatical, like leave without pay, but there's a pressure from business that because you can't backfill the resource.
True.
That person continues to be on the headcount blueprint.
Yeah.
So leave approvals were not happening. So they had to come back or they have to leave the career. So it's
Right.
like this or that.
The choice was
Not
evident that they
many
have to
work from
pick
home options.
non-negotiable choice kind of,
So
right?
no hybrid model, no
Right.
flexibility at that
At least
moment.
before COVID, it was not at all there.
Yes, nobody could even imagine people could work from home at that time.
Right.
So all 5 days in office. And of course, in fact, even the time that you spend in office was was being counted in
Absolutely.
many organizations.
True.
So where I used to feel why can't we do something for them? Because I used to feel very emotional, talking to those new parents. And when India decided, whenever they were still thinking about it, I think it was one of those pioneering organizations who decided to put this 6 months maternity leave,
Mm-hmm.
followed by a 6 months work from home option for new moms. And I was so happy that I was part of that program and we designed it. And then we looked into the staffing timelines. Typically, when a person has to come back from the maternity leave, it used to take almost 105 to 110 days for staffing.
Mm.
And then we were like, why is it taking so much time? Because it impacts their variable pay, because you can't sit on bench for a long time.
Correct.
So when we asked them, like, why are you not getting placed in projects? The answer was, oh, I'm getting a call, but I'm not able to get absorbed in the project. When we call the project managers, they say, oh, we didn't even knew that person was back to work. So we actually had to work where is the gap and then look into our leave management systems, try and proactively reach out to these people on a maternity leave to check when they are coming back, and then pass on the information to the project managers, start deploying them or allocating projects to them in advance. Apart from that, we also started working on the boot camps, in case if somebody is away from work for a long time, and then get them and reintegrate into workforce by making them part of any training boot camp so that they get upskilled in the new projects. So that's where and with all these efforts, we were able to reduce the staffing timeline to a 1 week from a 105-day period.
Excellent.
Employees are happy. Business is happy because they're able to get the staff pretty quickly and then productive. I'm happy as an HR because that reduced a lot of returning mothers attrition for us. Like from double digit, it has come to a single digit.
Absolutely.
In fact, now if you look into it, many organizations, at least I am very proud to say that at Elanco currently we have 0 returning mothers attrition. We track it as a metric.
Oh, that's excellent.
Just to check. And many organizations started returnship programs specifically for women on career break. And the first section that I spoke is about women on maternity leave or a longer leave and then coming back. But the returnship programs is about people who have left the workforce.
True.
And wanted to come back. That's a bigger challenge, was a bigger challenge, is a bigger challenge even today. Probably because of the perceptions of the organizations, the hiring managers. Or these people may require more flexibility.
Right.
Or these people have left the workforce because personal things are more important for them than their career.
True.
Or these people are less ambitious. So choosing a personal thing over career doesn't mean that people are less ambitious. Maybe at that moment they felt this is the right time for me to invest my time on something which is important. In fact, I am an example. I have left the workforce in 2013. When I planned to have a baby, I wanted to have a peaceful and pleasant pregnancy. I've left the workforce. I was at home. When my son turned 15 months is when I got back into work. So it was actually a career break.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in my career or do not want to develop in my career. At that moment, I felt I wanted to cherish the moments with my family, with
Absolutely.
my kid, and I've taken a break. So, and I'm so glad that there are multiple returnship programs, including the one that TeamLease is actually focusing on. And I think we can say we have progressed well when we don't see this as special programs to integrate. Rather, it becomes a part of the DNA of the organization.
Right. I think very rightly said. And, I would just add to what you were saying is that in these lines only, we started with this program, which we have named it as Power. And we chose this word, the program name also as Power, because we wanted the women to get empowered, because we didn't want them to feel that it is kind of a service kind of thing which we are doing for them, where we are just giving them training and then bringing back. But it was a pure play hand holding, by giving them an opportunity, and we wanted them to go through. We have the way we did the selection was that we started a LinkedIn campaign to get a workforce, especially of women on career break, and we wanted them to come back to work, and we said that we will give the training, hands-on experience, and we chose the topic which is very relevant today, which is Gen AI, agentic AI, right? And we wanted them to get trained on that. So it's a fully funded training program, but at the same time we did a rigorous screening of the profile, so that they don't get the feeling that whoever comes, we just chose 10, 15 and then try to deploy them, whatever. Major to do with was that we give them an opportunity who deserves it, who wants to take it up. And you won't believe that out of the at least 10 is what we selected, and in that at least 50 to 60% of the women said that there's a lot of people who questioned them during this break, that why are you on break, why you are not working. So they had suddenly felt that I took the break for family, to take care of that. Now that family is questioning me back, that why are you not working. The societal pressure is again back to them. So we wanted to give that opportunity to them. And I think that's where we'll talk about this program in a bit, because we would want you to give advice to those 10 women who are right now, as we speak, they're going through the training program as well. It's an everyday weekly program which is going on. But overall, this is a talent pool, I think the organizations needs to tap onto. So what do you think that organization, as an organization, the organization needs to be ready to absorb this? And like you mentioned, I in your conversation, you were mentioning about business being skeptical about this workforce, right? So how do we make sure as an HR that the business is also trained, so that this woman can be easily transitioned to career break to back to workforce? What's your take on that?
I would say both the women as well as the organization.
Right.
Because the women also should have confidence that I can manage this in spite of coming back from a break. Because they have their own perceptions of, fear of losing out or missing out something. Maybe there's some new technology that has come in and I'm not updated. Will I be able to crack the interview? Will I be able to perform up to the expectations of the business? And the second perspective is from the business standpoint, because I think I've mentioned already a couple of reasons. They tend to judge
Correct.
people, right? Like, why did they take a break? Oh, we know people who have who can do multitasking. There are many women employees who manage both their careers as well as the the personal life. Every chapter is different. Every need is unique. So we can't really judge on that. I think one of the common perceptions that I have observed is about the flexible needs. Or if I have a pregnant woman in my team, then I will have to let the person go early, or like give the permission to come in at a flexible time.
Flexible working hours, or even working from home option, right? That needs to be enabled for them. Yeah.
Which is okay. I think it's not a lifelong arrangement that we are making. So now when it comes to the returning workforce, then, if they were unable to manage and then they have taken a break, so are they fully ready? First question. What if they try for 3-4 months and then say, we can't do it, and then they take a step back? Second, let's say if a person is coming in after a 4 or 5 years break, and they may see, she may see her peers, like who would have started career along with her. May not be her friends, maybe people with similar set of experience. Let's say a woman have left the workforce when she had 8 years experience, and then joined back, let's say maybe 3-4 years break. And then you see your people who started career along with you 12 years back would have reached a specific position.
Right.
Then we also have this perceptions again. Will it be okay for her to work with people of similar experience and age, but maybe under them?
True.
Right? How will the dynamics work? And again, will the person be interested to learn and then invest in that additional time to stay competitive in the market. So, and we also tend to see there are managers who are very, very supportive as well. So what we need to do as an organization is to strike the right balance, give a high end support, like, because that's a ramp up phase for them when we get them back into the. So you can't have the same performance metric for both resources who are actually continuing with the workforce versus a returnship.
Absolutely.
But doesn't mean that we are saying that, you reduce the performance metrics so that, you feel other members in the team saying that, oh, I'm in such a privileged resource.
Correct.
Even the employee also feels that, oh, this is like a special treatment, which make them, feel isolated.
Right.
Probably instead of starting to judge the performance in like 30, 60 days, give them a time of 5 to 6 months. Companies need to understand that we are not just hiring, we have to hire and reskill a bit when they join back the organization.
Correct.
They are not freshers. This is the first thing that the managers have to remember. So neither be too accommodative, just to show that sympathy or empathy, whatever it is, or too rigid, like, everybody is equal to me, I will measure everyone on the same thing. But have that flexibility to measure the performance for a little bit of period. Maybe I would say 5 to 6 months they should be back completely, because when women are away from the workforce, slowly their confidence level starts eroding. Right. Whether am I actually ready? How the things have changed in the corporate world. And now you see technology keeps changing every 2-3 years, unlike in the past. So
now, in fact, not even 2-3 years, the technology keeps changing every 6 months, and you see that
no wonder.
Recent news, overnight things are changing. So no, I think it's a valid point which you made, specifically around the KRAs which needs to be measured for this return womanship, right? Because we don't want to be being very sympathetic, I would say, towards them, but at the same time, as you rightly said, that some managers want to treat them straight away equal. So somewhere we'll have to be empathetic, at the same time, give them time to settle down, help them, not leave them on their own. So I think organizations, you rightly said, right, the organizations also need to train these business managers so that they are able to handle these women returnees in a particular way, because I think these are great resources whom we are not tapping at this moment, right? To that next point, I was just looking at one of the metrics which my team gave, was that today the GCCs, around 38% is female representation, which is higher compared to IT services, which has been there for some time. GCCs is a new, I would say, entire thing which has come up recently, even though it was earlier named as GBS or other things, but
GICs.
at least, so IT services is only 23% comparing to that, and that too, tech in non-tech is 10%. So the gender gap is very wide, right? So I think if we are looking to fill this gap, this is the skill set, or this is the pool which we should be tapping onto, right? So the other thing which I wanted to ask you was that the GCC, right, today they are facing this talent shortages. You can see that they are hiring big time for this analytics, cybersecurity, SAP. So, and you yourself as part of kind of GCC, right? So is there anything which is specific to GCC, because where the focus is to bring women back to work, train, get this pool tapped, or is it similar to the IT industry that this kind of mindset is there, that, oh, if I take them, I'll have to handle, that's additional, my effort goes into from business side, right? So what are you seeing in your org, or the GCC as such?
Thankfully, I think by the way GCC system is designed, returnships work a little better compared to a non-GCC environment. Maybe we don't have volumes to hire like a traditional ITs organizations. Correct. Because GCC is hardly a headcount is into hundreds of very few thousands.
True.
But when I say how the system is designed, is because GCCs are basically capability driven.
Right.
So not client billable. So you don't have this pressure of like you onboard a resource and in 1 month or like 2 months the resource have to be billable, otherwise then it's an investment from my end.
True.
So what I have observed is typically you get time to integrate into the organization, even if it's a regular employee or a returning person. to understand the industry, the domain, the organization, because having the domain knowledge and product knowledge of your organization is very, very important for you to perform, because innovation comes in only when you understand it end to end.
Absolutely.
So the learning period or the skill development kind of focus which is there in GCCs is relatively higher compared to the traditional organizations. So how this works beautifully is because when there is a returning women to workforce, you have time to actually integrate into the system, and then you don't have this pressure of client billing, but you get time to actually understand the organization, the product, and then start performing. And again, the flip side of it is we can't hire volumes. So in case if there is let's say maybe a few thousands of women available, we may not be able to deploy like any other IT organization, but the numbers would be smaller. But it's a smoother move, I would say, in the GCC thing.
I think you made a very valid point, and I think that justifies to the the statistics which I was giving you, that why GCC has higher percentage, the billability aspect.
Yeah.
Because in your IT services, obviously the moment you step in, your billability comes into picture, versus GCC you don't have that clock ticking
Yeah.
on your head, right? So I think that's a great point which you made. So yeah, so another study which the team has shown me shows that around 96.5 to 98.5 percentage of women on career breaks, they wish to re-enter the
I would say
workforce.
100% of them want to come back.
Yeah, I think it is just more to do with opportunities. However, what we noticed is that only about 27% of women out of this is able to successfully return after a break. So it's a huge delta which is there. Again, to the same point, that either we as a corporate is not able to give them the opportunity, or they are not they are hesitant to take that step, right? It is just both ways, as you said.
Yeah.
But there seems to be a gap, right? Obviously, as you said, 96 to 100% women want to re-enter versus only 27%. That's a huge gap, right? So in GCC specifically, the other thing is that, does the global parent organization offer drive these? Because I remember that during your initial point when you were making, you said that in India the returnship is a bit difficult because of all the other factors associated to it, comparing to outside India, maybe a Europe or a US regions, right? So is that also playing a factor in GCCs, that because the headquarter driven, the global present driven parent organization, right, because they are used to this model, it's BAU there, is that the reason it becomes easier in GCC in India as well?
At least to the best of my knowledge, I don't recollect any global programs specifically calling returnship programs, because as I said, like when I see my counterparts in US going on maternity leave, they come back in 3 to 4 months, like regular one. In Europe, as I mentioned already, like 2 to 3 years of parental leave that can be shared between both the parents, mother and father. So childcare is not a major issue or a leakage point for them. Even if they choose to leave the workforce, spend the time with the kid, they have this flexible options like a part-time working, which comes as part of their regulatory system, like offerings from the country labor compliances. Or they can even take sabbatical and they come back. So career breaks are not seen like a gap or a big thing in the Western countries.
Right.
Like you would have heard stories like people, taking sabbatical just that they want to do some trekking or some travel,
that is there.
and then they
Correct.
come back. In India, if you have to even ask for like
that is
more
unheard
number,
of, and people are going to question you.
Now Gen Z is doing that.
I know. Gen Z, I think nowadays they can just call up and say that I'm not in a mood to work today. But whereas, I think that's a small shift is there. But as you rightly said, I think I have had my colleagues in Europe, they'll say that I'm taking 6 months of sabbatical, just
Yeah.
going on mountains and stuff like that.
So that's quite common over there, which I think our India market is still
Hmm.
yet to reach to a stage where they start accepting breaks as a BAU.
Right.
So now, is it a global driven program? Probably the intent, to hire more women or retain women will come with the global diversity or equity, numbers or targets that the parent organizations may have. Let's
Right.
say, okay, we as an organization, we want to be like 50-50 or
True.
40-60 by so and so year. So the funding comes in from there, the targets come in from there. So the interventions have to be decided and designed, customized to the specific country. So what may be relevant in India may not be relevant in other
True.
countries.
Hmm.
So what is more relevant in India? How do we retain women? And how do we get back women into workforce? Because the leakage is not as high as we see it in India.
Hmm.
So to summarize, the intent comes in, the target comes in from the global, but the customized programs happen in India. That's what I have also realized when I was speaking with my other HR partners or the industry colleagues.
Right. Right.
Very focused because we see a lot of talent leakage and then struggle to come back. Again, having to do with the mindset, both for the returnee as well as the organization.
Got it. Yeah. So I think that makes sense because what you rightly said, that the cultural difference between Western countries to us is very different. So maybe the mandate might come from them, but then the customization of the program, the implementation part would still remain with India specific leadership, right? So in that thing, so when women attempt to return, right, what's the biggest barriers you have seen? Is it like the skill issue, or is it about the woman's confidence and perception, or is it mix of both? What do you are seeing that?
Skill gaps may be there, but it's not a major point.
That's not the major
Let's say,
one.
for example, if I as an HR person, if I would have gone on a career break, I was using SAP as a tool for my HR related work. When I come back after a couple of years, I may see a workday.
Correct.
So I may need a refresher training or training to get used to the new technology to a
Right.
certain extent.
Right.
But the domain knowledge, the functional expertise that I might be carrying is still valid in today's scenario as well. Same thing to the technical roles as well. The technology that you're using maybe that you were using may be obsolete today, but the analytical skills, logical thinking, the rationale which is required, the domain expertise, the functional knowledge that they would have built, which is very, very important, is still relevant. So even for a person who is continuing in the workforce, yesterday it was like PeopleSoft, today
Right.
SAP, tomorrow it is Workday, even they get refreshed. The same thing happens with a woman who is returning to the workforce as well. So I don't think it's a skill gap majorly, but probably sometimes a gap in the knowledge levels about the latest technologies or skills. But otherwise, they have a very strong domain expertise and the functional expertise that they would bring in. And more resilient when they come back, multitasking
Correct.
skills that they would have developed during the break. So of course, the confidence level, as I mentioned, will erode over a period of time, because if a person who is highly engaged at workforce, probably recognized for her great work, after a point is sitting at home and then taking care of the baby, and they may enjoy it,
Right.
but after a point they feel like, okay, I mean, how much I've studied, whatever
True.
experience I have gathered, is it anyway relevant? So if they're able to come back quickly, I think not much of a difference. But when it takes time, or if it takes time for them to get the interview calls or even to pass the interviews, that's when slowly the confidence levels start falling. Oh, I'm not getting any call. My resume is updated almost. It's 1 month, 2 months. I'm not getting any call. I think even the application systems, right? I think these days you put a filter
It
and then
is,
you see.
yeah.
I think the hiring model in Indian industries is more to do with the linear model, right? I mean, continuity of your career is seen as a very, very important parameter while hiring. So that's a challenge. So I would say it's a combination of it, but skill I would say is a very little one,
Little.
because those are, I mean, skills are always coachable. You need to hire talent for the learning agility.
True, true.
So,
Yeah. So I think I would probably put it as that the skill will make them return ready, right? And the other skills, which is basically they need to have the confidence, the perception, all those things taken care of, makes them employer ready, right? That's when, because as you rightly said, I think the skill readiness or the upskilling part, even for the existing employees, they have to go through.
yeah.
Like the example you give, if an organization is using today SAP, tomorrow they move to Workday.
And I'm learning AI now, how
Yeah.
to use it in
So it's a
HR. Right?
continuous upskilling, right? So
Yeah.
that's still part of it. But yeah, so yeah, I think that's where I think my point of view is that returnship can't be like CSR activity.
Oh, yes.
That's where, you know, we need to have a pipeline builders tied with direct revenue impacting metrics. We need to look at that roles. And this is where, as I was mentioning, that TeamLease Digital, we are trying to do this power program, you know, wherein we are not only giving them domain refresh, but skill refresh, which we are saying, but mentorship, live projects, you know, and, you know, that's where tips from your side would also be helpful. So the whole idea is that you know, we feel, and I think as the conversation was going on, I was thinking that it's not only about just skilling. So that's why the model of just training them and then you know, putting them into workforce wouldn't help. It's a transition. So, and the other thing which I liked about when you said is that the more the career gap happens, the confidence level of women goes down. Or I would say not only women, for any, even for that matter, being a male myself, if there is a male member who is on a career break for say 6 months versus someone who is on 5 years break, the confidence level is definitely going to be different. So I think it's a human thing that the more you take break, the confidence will grow up. So that's why it is very important that these organizations, whoever is taking these returnship, they handhold and then place.
Yeah.
Right. So
In fact, investment in returnship programs is like a build strategy for talent than a buy strategy.
absolutely.
Right? You actually reap most of the benefits from the returnship program because people come with a lot of dedication, commitment,
True.
and willingness to learn more and prove themselves. So if you have to compare a lateral hire versus a returnship hire, I am sure, like, you know, the returnship person would, I mean, show more commitment and engagement because they have this fire in them that they have to
Right.
prove themselves.
Prove themselves, prove
Yeah.
to the people who have been questioning. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the other thing is that, you know, how do you balance the empathy we were talking about, right, and performance expectations during the returnship? Like, see, at the end of the day, business do want to make sure that whatever is their BAU does not get impacted, right? So how do you balance this between the empathy side of it, at the same time the performance expectations are also set right? How does business manage that?
So I think with returnship programs, we are not saying that you need to reduce the performance metrics or make special provisions for them. In fact, that will put the person into a more uncomfortable situation because I don't think I want to be specially treated
True.
and become a concern for the rest of the team members as well.
Yeah.
So being empathetic doesn't mean that we have to bring down the performance standards. Rather, you can keep the standards as it is, but just give a little more time than a regular hire to sort of to go through the ramp up phase. Let's say maybe if you are expecting a person to deliver from like generally they say in 60 to 90 days for a regular hire to integrate well into the system and then start performing. Maybe you just increase it to a 6-month period or a 5-month period for a person coming in through a returnship program. Because, you know, they would have lost the touch with the technology. They may
True.
need some time to brush up. In fact, even it's important for the organization to create that psychological safety that I don't hesitate to ask questions because lot of times it might be pulling them back to even put their point forward, either to share the ideas or even to ask questions, because somewhere back of the mind it will be like, okay, people might be judging me.
True.
Oh, this might be a stupid question, should I ask or not? So every time
Absolutely.
you have these perceptions playing in mind, whether you're doing a right thing or not. Are you asking a right question? Am I making a fool of myself by
True.
asking this
Yeah.
question? People might be already aware of it. Is this idea a good idea or not? So I think for people to come out of those inhibitions and then freely connect with the team and then start asking questions, share their ideas, learn, and then start to perform. So it's just that ramp up phase we are saying that we need to be a little more empathetic and give that additional support, I would say, compared to a regular resource, and then have the performance metric as is. So I think during the hiring stage itself, the organization or the supervisor can say, okay, then we have a 6 months program where these are your goals for 30, 60, 90, 120 and 180 days, and this is the support system, and this is your mentor whom you can reach out to, because sometimes I may be hesitant to ask the supervisor because I might be worried about how my performance would be judged. So somebody in the organization who is a mentor or a coach who can help the resource integrate well into the organization, and say that this is the ramp up period, and there will be so we say the hypercare period, right?
Correct.
So this hypercare period will be there for the first 5 to 6 months, and after that your targets will be as equivalent to the other person. So, and then they are back to like a normal one. So we are not compromising on performance metrics. It's just the little additional time that we just saying
Right.
that
Yeah, the time frame for them to get adjusted.
Yeah.
So just a follow up on that, do you think, it was just coming to my mind to ask you this question, is that do you think that maybe have this mentors, and you use the word coaches, can organizations have mentors and coaches who have gone through this journey themselves? For
Yep.
example, a woman leader who would have probably come back 6 months back, a year back, maybe they can become a coach and then give them a kind of cohort of 5 to 6 people or 5 to 6 women who have come back, so that they can get the coaching. Will that be helpful from an org standpoint, do you think?
That's a very successful model. We did it in one of our previous organizations. We used to call RMP coach, returning mother program coach, where these coaches also were trained by an organization on how to handle this. So the coach was assigned from the time an employee was, raised the maternity leave request in the system till the baby turns 1 year. So they can share their apprehensions, get the understand the support systems around, know more about the organizational policies and support systems, talk without any inhibitions with the coach. And then once the employee is back into the system, like after the baby turns 1 year, we feel like a full-fledged, the person is readily integrated, and the coach will be detagged and assigned to the other one. That was for existing cases who are going on maternity leave. A similar approach for the returnships also. Either we can look at the coach model or the mentor model. As I said, because people may not be comfortable reaching out to their supervisors every time.
Correct.
And sometimes I may be hesitant whether my supervisor will even understand the problem.
True.
So assigning somebody who would have gone through that phase or journey in their life already, like I do mentor, some of the returning mothers or the women on career break, because I myself have come from a career break, so I just share some of the success stories. That would be a great example, because if they have any perceptions or questions, it can easily be challenged by the mentor or the coach.
Correct.
And break those perceptions or help them understand, all these are your apprehensions.
True.
Think.
Yeah.
And in case if really they're lacking something, I think that feedback can be given by the coach or the mentor, or ask the right questions to them to challenge their perceptions and get them back integrated.
And I think also from a standpoint of corporate, the way it works, your line manager asking question to your line manager, you always have that ambiguity, that assistance. Versus if you have a coach or guidance who is not your direct line manager, it always helps. You can ask questions which you are otherwise very hesitant to ask the line manager, right? Yeah.
And sometimes they may or may not be from the relevant background.
Correct.
Right? So if you ask a question to a person who have not gone through that situation,
Correct.
so
Yeah.
probably it may not resonate with them
Resonate.
well.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
I agree. And that takes us to our next section, which is the person behind the cause. So obviously here I would like to ask more about your specific journey, which you mentioned just now, that was there a defining moment when the issue became personal for you, right? And you just mentioned about it, but can you just expand on that, that how was your journey when you wanted to come back? How did the organization support? What were you personally thinking of? How confident you were? Did you get the right opportunities? If you can throw some light on that.
So from the beginning of my career, I've been very clear that I'm gonna work only till I have a baby, and then maybe focus on my family. And I'm the first one who got employed in, first woman to get employed in my family as well. So I had to really convince my family to get into a corporate job. So when I decided to take a career break, my friends, my supervisor, everybody were asking, oh, I mean, there are a lot of maternity related benefits. You can take sabbatical, there's 6 months of mat leave. So why do you even have to quit the corporate? Like, why don't you think about it? And this is actually, and many times when women leave the corporate, right, that's the stage where they're getting into a leadership role or a visibility to get into leadership roles.
Right.
So I was also a first-time manager at that time, who just got promoted. I think in a couple of months after my last promotion, I decided to quit. So then I said, no. I wanted to have a peaceful and a pleasant pregnancy. I'm going to stay back at home, and I don't have plans to return. So what is the point in actually availing all these leave, etc.? So then all went well. My son was 15 or 18 months old, and then I started getting bored at home when he's actually asleep. When you try to ping your friends or anybody, they're busy at the work. And after a point, you start feeling like, what am I doing sitting at home? Is this what, I wanted to do after studying so much?
So
I
much,
was a gold medalist in MBA. And then after spending, I had a double promotion in my organization at that time. So I was just thinking about it. I haven't even planned that I'll come back to work. I was, okay, what to do next? Should I continue to focus on the family? So I checked with my husband. He said, you do whatever you wanted to. You will have complete support. And he still sticks on to it even today. So one day I was just having a conversation with one of my earlier supervisors who were also my career coach. So I said, I'm still in a dilemma. I'm not able to make out. He said, I have a nice role if you wanted to come back. And I think now your son is good enough to even go to a daycare. So why don't you join back? I said, yes. And in 1 week, I was back into the organization. So I'm not saying that everybody's career would be as fairy tale as the moment you think like a genie, you will get a job in the hand. But networking helped me. Probably the credibility that we build in the organization helps us, to get it, or, they would have referred you. In fact, I do it when I come across any profiles that are looking for, coming back. If I know any opportunity, I will try and definitely connect it. So yes, that was the moment for me. And I try pay it forward, whenever we have an opportunity to get the women back into workforce.
Excellent. I'm sure that, to our listeners who are listening to this, they will get inspired by your story, your personal story. I think this is the kind of, stories which people will be able to resonate to, women will be able to resonate to. And I think that will take me to my next question, which is for our power batch, which is right now happening, which is, as I mentioned, is on the woman returnship, which TeamLease Digital is sponsoring for the first time. So what are the 3 tips you want to give this 10 women who are out there getting trained? We are helping them to come back to work. Any 3 tips which will be useful for them?
Number one, I would say, own your narrative. So we don't have to feel guilty or why we have taken a break when somebody asks, oh, why have you taken a break? Was career not so important for you? It may not be the case. So always own your narrative. I think how you present your story is with you.
Right.
So if you feel confident in in terms of owning your story, not trying to justify why you have taken a break. Rather, there are multiple skills that you might be picking up even on a career break. I have seen, mothers coming in back with um, multitasking, more resilience, emotionally strong when they come back, right? So don't feel guilty about that you have taken a break. And I think then you will have this victim mindset, oh, I was on break and because of which I'm losing the opportunity, etc. So own your story, own your narrative, be confident when you're talking to anybody. uh, Second, contribute, don't compare. In fact, even this came into my mind when I joined back and I was looking at my earlier peers who were like, one or two levels above when I joined back the workforce. And I went back and I told my husband, I don't know whether I did a right thing or wrong thing by taking a break. Like now I see, some of them who started career along with me or, have moved forward. He said, that's fine. You wanted to become a mother, you became a mother. So
True.
that is also an achievement and you have enjoyed it
Absolutely.
without any guilt feeling. So you spend as much time as you want, to integrate completely, and I'm here to support you. So I have put in that effort to learn, update myself, like, build that network, and then start contributing, which actually helped me get faster movement again. And I think I didn't have to really feel about losing something, but I came back with double energy and confidence, and then I was able to bridge that. So don't compare, that will only demotivate you. Start contributing and create that own space for you. A third and most important one is building the network
Right.
intentionally. As much as you spend in your time in building your skill set, the same amount of time you need to build in building your network. The mentors, you need to have a mentor or a coach or even a sponsor when you join back. A sponsor is somebody who can actually talk on your behalf
True.
in a closed room. So for that, for somebody to become your sponsor, you need to actually show that you are really invested and interested in the role that you have picked up. Show that performance and potential, and have that sponsor. In terms of mentor or a coach, somebody who can guide you through the toughest situations, maybe when you are struck. um, uh, they have played a major role in my career, and even today I'm so proud that I have a coach whom I interact with. Whenever I feel stuck in certain situations, I always go back to my coach. In fact, it was also because of one of my mentors only I was able to come back into the workplace
Right.
faster.
Absolutely. I think I'm sure that the batch is going to be very thankful to you to provide these three major things which you mentioned, right? Obviously, the networking part of it, very useful. And secondly, you said don't compare. That's also very well said. And the third point you mentioned about was that own your narrative, right? That you don't have to feel low about anything. The gap that was your choice, and this is also your choice to come back. So you have taken a choice to take a break to take care of your personal side of the life. Now you want to come back to professional, and that's a choice you have made. So I think it's going to be very useful tips for our team, the Power Batch 1. So I think overall a great conversation. I had good insights from your perspective. I was able to hear your perspective about this whole woman returnship, and I think I'm pretty confident that organizations will be able to uh, take this narrative forward and bring as much as women back to this returnship program. These kind of things needs to go on so that women are empowered. And thank you so much for spending time with us, sharing your personal stories as well. I think that's very inspiring. So once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rajesh, and thank you, TeamLease, for this opportunity to share my
Absolutely.
perspectives.
Absolute pleasure.